Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, November 22nd, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, Repenning, James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning. John Olinger, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Patrick Schmidt, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning. Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning. Robert Gutierrez, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning. Shram Kargani, LA Sanitation.
Good morning. Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment, no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section, and we also received no speaker cards on any of the items for today's agenda.
Then we will close. You want to revise that? I saw Dr. Williams. I thought he was just joining us to be part of our audience.
I was trying to make eye contact, but to correct the oral record, we just received a speaker card on public comment, and we also received a speaker card on item number 8. 8?
Okay, let's start with general public comment. Dr. Williams, happy Thanksgiving, sir.
A little limpy. Dr. Tom Williams, Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community. Having broken my ankle almost 2 months ago, I am now recovered somewhat.
Good.
The basic issue, though, is ADA compliance. Hey, how about at the intersection of Setchell and Workman on Mission Road? At least 2, 4, 6, 8 cuts are necessary. This is next to the LA County Medical Center. I've been asked about it before. Nothing has come. Nothing has been shown on anything that I've been able to find. Therefore, this is the final notice. Elsewise, we're going to go other ways. So please get it. This is next to the county medical center. And having been on a wheelchair for a couple of hours, I didn't like it when there was even a 1-inch lip. So that's one thing. On the good side, the reason that I broke my ankle, I slipped and fell while trying to put out mulch. Oh no. We were just doing a walkover of the site because we have 2 sites in El Sereno that need about 800 to 1,000 cubic yards. And they can take it very easily. We put 500 cubic yards onto the El Sereno Recreation Center about 4 years ago. So we have the capacity, we have the materials. If I hadn't broken my ankle, we would have at least put down a couple hundred cubes. However, that's pretty. Oh, we do need more mulch at Mission Road bays.
2 minutes.
We have 2 empty bays, 1 full bay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Glad you're on the mend. That'll close general public comment. Agenda items 1 through 4 are assessment hearings for council districts 6, 7, 11, and 14. Ruben Flamenco.
Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting. Items 1 through 4 pertain to lighting districts which we are creating in conjunction with private development projects. Ballots for items 1 through 4 were mailed on October 12, 2017. Ballots for items 1 through 4 must be received by the City Clerk's office by next Wednesday, November 29th. We have not received any objections to date on items 1 through 4. We are requesting for the board to adopt and forward items 1 through 4 forthwith to City Council.
Any questions on agenda items 1 through 4? I have any questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda items 1 through 4. Seconded by Commissioner Rivas and Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda items 1 through 4. Any issues, sending them forthwith? We will send those forthwith. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Monday, October 30th, 2017 by Commissioner Repenning? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. We will also close the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Let's go ahead and go to agenda item number 8, Council District 14, requested contract acceptance, secondary sewer renewal program, Huntington Drive and Poplar Boulevard, requesting that we accept the contract Mr. Ollinger, before you step up, Dr. Williams has a card in on number 8. We have a comment card on number 8.
let him go first?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dr. Williams, go ahead, sir.
Dr. Tom Williams, Sierra Club Water Committee, but also resident of the secondary sewer area. However, we're not called Lincoln Heights, Lincoln Hills, or Lincoln anything. We are East El Sereno. It's a common problem? No. Everybody that has worked there knows El Sereno versus Lincoln Heights. So there's a problem in the report itself, maybe in the contract, because it's not Lincoln Heights, Lincoln Hills, Lincoln anything. It's El Sereno. And it was not noticed. Nobody even remembers seeing anything going on. Nobody was notified that was going to be going on. So somewhat like the western part of El Sereno, where I mentioned before that, hey, notify the neighborhood councils. They're part of the City of Los Angeles departments. Why not? So maybe you'll get more cooperation. But to have the area identified as Lincoln Heights, maybe the contract isn't proper. I don't know. Location is rather important, especially for us, because I overlook I'm part of that secondary service area. I was never notified that there was going to be any because I live on a hill and we probably have more than 10% slope on our sewers. So, but we couldn't help. The neighborhood council and the neighborhoods are willing to help, to identify where problems may be that the people know, but apparently the Bureau of Sanitation doesn't even know the location. But as soon as I saw Huntington Drive on it, I said,
2 minutes.
Mine. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Williams. Mr. Ollinger?
Good morning. John Ollinger, Bureau of Contract Administration. I'm here to ask for your acceptance on the Secondary Sewer Renewal Program, SSRP, Huntington Drive and Popular Boulevard. Work order is SZC 12809. Contract is 126589. This contract was executed by your board on October 28th, 2015 in the amount of $1,591,850.50. The construction was completed under Ramona Inc. on November 18th, 2016. The project consisted of removing and replacing and/or rehabilitating over 2.2 miles of 6, 8, 10-inch, and 12-inch sewer lines to upgrade the structural capability of the sewer lines and to correct various deficiencies in the sewer collection system. Are there any questions?
Any questions at all on agenda item number 8? I don't have any questions. Okay, then I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 8, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 8. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 8 forthwith. Thank you, sir. There's been a request by the Department of Transportation to continue agenda item number 9 to Wednesday, November 29th, 2017. That's a week from today. So without objection, we'll continue agenda item number 9 to November 29th, 2017. Agenda item number 10, the release of a stop payment notice, BCN Group LLC, Purse Construction Company, transmitting the release of a stop notice in the amount of $137,407.99 for furnishing historic board finish, composite fiber wrap finish, and epoxy injections in connection with the Avenue 26 bridge over Arroyo Seco Channel Bridge seismic retrofit project, the contractor for which is Future DB International Incorporated. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 10 forthwith? By Commissioners Jacinto and Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Let's go to agenda item number 5, Subcontractor Outreach Program Report, WSP Incorporated, Council District 15, recommending that the board receive and file the report. Mr. Bazzi, you're here on number 5 and number 6 as well, but we'll start with number 5.
Good morning. Al Bazi, Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. On December 12, 2014, the board approved the award of TOS number 42 to what was known back then as Parsons Brickenhoff Americas. Right now, it's WSP. The TOS dollar amount was for $475,826 to provide pre-design, design, and construction support services for the DCT Water Reclamation Plant HVAC replacement project. This TOS expired on July 12, 2017. On July 12, 2017, the board approved a sole source TOS to WSP to continue the design services and the CM support when the construction starts for the subject project. At that time, the board requested that BOE report back on the subcontractor outreach for this project, which is why I'm here today. So for the project, the original contract, the city established MEB, WEB, OBE percentages of 12, 2, and 0% respectively. WSP complied with the good faith effort and they pledged 9.7, 7.3, and 0% respectively. As of July 12, 2017, WSP had invoiced $324,169.53. And I do have a detailed table in the board report that outlines all the actual amounts that were established. So WSP established 11.02% for MEB. The dollar amount was $35,737. For WBE, 9.32%, $30,209.50, and OBE at 0%. And that leaves a remainder of $151,000, $151,656.47 as a remainder of the funds in the contract right now that need to be spent. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. I don't have any questions. Any questions? All right, thank you. I'll make a motion that we receive and file the report, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Without objection, we will do so. We can do that forthwith. Mr. Bazzi, you're here on number 6 as well. Same in Council District 15, subcontractor outreach report. This one on Tetra Tech. Go ahead on number 6.
Okay. It's a very similar situation, similar story. On November 15, 2013, the board authorized city engineer to award TOS number 8 to Tetra Tech, $506,459 to provide pre-design, design, and design services during construction for the DCT Water Reclamation Plant Power Systems Modifications Project. Same thing, the contract expired July 12, 2017. We had to report on the subcontractor outreach as well. So that same day, the board also, as part of the same board report, authorized TOS number 23 to Tetra Tech to continue with the task of providing CM services. The project is currently in construction right now. The dollar amounts, so up to that point in time, July 12, 2017, Tetra Tech had invoiced the city $444,630.87. Same percentages were established by the city, 12, 2, and 0. Tetra Tech pledged the same amount, 12, 2, and 0. As of July 12th, Tetra Tech had established percentages for MEB, WEB, and OBE of 9.67, 1.91, and 0% respectively. And that concludes my report.
So they got about half, in agenda item number 5, they they did better. They got, that agenda item, they got a little closer to the, actually quite a bit closer to the BPW goals. And on agenda item number 6, they got about halfway there on each. I think that's the reason for the reports back. We're trying to get a sense of how some of these tosses are doing with their outreach. Okay. Any questions or thoughts other than that? All right. Does the Bureau, other than what we are getting back in these board reports, is there a data storage component? This is a larger question. Is there a data storage component, for lack of a better term, of the ending results of the participation numbers on these contract items?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay.
We track all these percentages. It's part of every invoice that we receive from the consultant. Project award pack, they track that, Project Award and Control Division. And it's a database that we maintain, and we can provide a snapshot at any point.
Great. Okay, thanks, Al. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Sinos made a motion that we receive and file the report. I'll second it. Any objection? Dr. Williams, do you have a card in on one of these? Okay. Oh, 11? Oh, okay. I saw it there in your hand, so I wanted to know where you were going. On 11. Oh, we'll get to 11 in a minute. All right. So we have received and filed number 6 forthwith. All right. Thank you, Mr. Bozzi. Have a nice Thanksgiving. I should have been saying that to everybody this morning. That was agenda item number 6. Agenda item number 7, that's our only remaining voting item this morning, correct, Dr. Campos?
That's correct.
Agenda item number 7, financial status of the Public Works Trust Fund, number 834 for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2017. Recommending the board, subject to the mayor and city council approval, first, approve the annual Public Works Trust Fund number 834 financial status report for fiscal year end June 30th, 2017. And secondly, forward the report to the mayor and city council requesting to receive and file the Public Works Trust Fund number 834 financial status report for fiscal year end June 30th, 2017. Fernando Campos.
Good morning, Commissioners. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. I'm pleased to be before you to provide a status update report on the Public Works Trust Fund for fiscal year ended June 30, 2017. Before I begin my presentation, I just wanted to do a shout out to our Office of Accounting staff, Vicky Santiago, who is not able to make it today due to the holidays, but in her stead, Ms. Sheen Alagan is here, who is the Assistant Director in the Office of Accounting, and also I'm joined by Amy Chang, who's our Director of General Funds, and she oversees the Public Works Trust Fund. These are just a few individuals that work with me on a month-to-month basis on the Public Works Trust Fund. There's also Tommy Sue, our Assistant Executive Officer, Raul Mendoza, as well as Evelyn Roque, who is our dedicated accountant, trying to make us better at what we do, and I believe we are there. We will present an update. I'll present an update on where we ended our fiscal year 2017. I did provide a status update a couple of weeks ago regarding our status as of September 2017. However, this will just take us back 3 months in arrears, just to provide that status report and then submit this over to the Mayor's Office and City Council for their receive and file of the report. So just a quick overview of the presentation that's before you today. Just a quick background on the Public Works Trust Fund, the oversight that we do, our financial status report, along with next steps and challenges, and then at the end, our recommendations to receive and file this report. Next slide, please. You've heard this before, and I won't belabor the topic in terms of the Public Works Trust Fund. The main purpose of the trust fund is really to serve as a repository to hold deposits, including receipts from violations, fees, settlements, surcharges, and donations for public works related projects. This trust fund operates very similar to a bank account or an escrow account, if you will, and we are the fiduciary agents to hold this money to make sure that the monies are being used for the purposes that they were received for. quick update on the background of the Public Works Trust Fund. The reason I'm here before you is that the city charter does require this board to receive reports on any cost incidents to any proposed changes or improvements to the public works projects. And in addition to that, I am required to file a report to the mayor and also to the board on the work of the department, and this falls as one of the component units of that. There's approximately about 12,000 depositors in our Public Works Trust Fund, and what I mean by a depositor, this is someone that's a permittee, a person that comes in and pulls a permit. They become depositors once we receive an actual deposit, whether it's refundable or not refundable in the Public Works Trust Fund. We are noticing that this number is increasing, which makes it a little bit more difficult for our accountants because we are tracking every deposit on a case-by-case basis or on a deposit-by-deposit basis. This number is not necessarily a bad thing that it's growing. It's actually a good thing. It just means that we're developing more. We're doing more construction. We're making our city better at what we do and improving our city infrastructure as a whole. So this is actually a welcome increase. However, at the same time, we want to make sure that we have the rigor and we have the internal controls to make sure that we're accounting for every single penny that we have in our Public Works Trust Fund. The other great thing that we've done in the past is that we've reconciled 6 years of backlog. So we are no longer in a backlog mode in terms of reconciliation. Right now, we are currently reconciling about 14 to 21 days. Exactly. Thank you. 14 to 21 days after the closure of the prior month's closeout. So we are really on top of things in terms of where we are with our reconciliation. The other thing is that we've implemented the Public Works Trust Fund system upgrade in partnership with the Bureau of Engineering. So we increased we migrated out of the old legacy system into a new web-based system about 9 months ago. And so this is making it a lot easier for us to reconcile our B permits. And we are looking at also automating our U permits and land excavation permits as well in the future. And so the other great thing that has occurred is that we're now doing regular transfers on a quarterly basis to the general fund and also our special fund. Last year, we transferred about $12 million in B permits. This year, we're right on track to transfer another $14 million in B permits. Just to remind you, about 3-4 years ago, we were transferring...
Fernando, just so I'm clear on the amount, last year was around 12 million. This year is
14.
It's 14, so it's not an additional 14 on top of the 12.
Correct.
Yeah,
it's
got it.
Just
Go
an
ahead.
additional $2 million.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And prior to that, about 3 to 5 years ago, we were transferring anywhere from $500,000 to maybe $2 million at most. This is also because of the recession. There was a decrease in staffing. We had the early retirement incentive program, but most importantly, it was because we weren't reconciling, and that was stopping us from transferring the monies to the general fund.
I'm sure that the CAO and the council both are appreciative of that.
Yes. And we continue to work with the mayor's office and CAO's office to make sure that we bring in more rigor and we are transferring. But at least now we are on a quarterly basis transferring the monies over. My end goal for staff is to do monthly transfers. So I'd love to get to a point where we can transfer on a monthly basis, whether it be 15 or even 30 days post-closeout, but just doing a smaller transfer, but a consistent transfer on a monthly basis so that we can assist the city's cash flow to meet payroll and other demands as well. The next slide is our Public Works Trust Fund oversight, so I won't go into the details, but it's pretty much about governance, and that governance is occurring on a monthly basis, working with staff on a daily basis as well for the day-to-day operations. Our management is really made up of the accountant, the collector, and the administrator, so there's 3 different functions that occur within the Board of Public Works. The chief executive chief executive accountant does our accounting work. We do have a collection person that comes in and collects the money, and then we also have the administrator or the oversight, which would be myself. Next slide, please. So just to give you an idea as to what the balance is, we ended up our balance on June 30, 2017 with $124.7 million. This is about a 70% increase over a 5-year period, about $51.1 million from fiscal year 2013 to 2017. Although this number is high, it's alarming. I will go into the details in terms of why this increase has occurred and where that increase is occurring so that you'll have a better understanding of where the monies are going. Next slide, please. In terms of our financial components, our end balance was $124.7 million. Our net available cash balance for June 2017 is about $30.6 million. This takes into account about $20 million that we have lent out to other departments. In addition to that, about $31 million in pending loans, bond exonerations, and transfers out to the general fund. Let me break that $31 million down into those three buckets. We have about $15 million that this board has approved for loans that have not yet been dispersed. In other words, this board has taken an action and City Council has concurred with your action to authorize the loan. However, the departments have not yet executed the transfer out of the trust fund. So we are working with those bureaus to make sure that we're transferring those monies out so that those monies are being used. Next time that I come before you, I will be proposing, and we are currently vetting this concept out, and that is to authorize loan transfers, but have that loan authority good for 90 days or 180 days, not allow it to be in perpetuity. In other words, if we have a loan that was granted by your board and it's been more than 1 year or 2 years, we don't want to have that pre-approved loan sitting there without it being transferred out. We really want to make sure that the monies are moving fast so that the projects that are shovel ready can actually access this money so that we can fund those projects and get them ready to go. For those departments or bureaus that do not have a shovel ready project, they can come before the board maybe 6 months to a year before the project is ready so that we can release the monies. Otherwise, having a pre-approval 2-3 years in advance just ties up the cash, and it also has a perception that the money are lent out, and that's not the case. We actually have the money sitting in our trust fund. In addition to that, I'd like to point out the $12 million that's sitting there in our pre-post 1989 restricted balance. This is the Public Works Trust Fund Nexus study that we're currently working on. So we're hoping that by January we can come before your board and provide a status update and the final report of the Public Works Trust Fund Nexus study. In addition to that, probably around March or April of 2018, we would come back before your board for policy considerations on how to move that monies out of the Public Works Trust Fund and into an actual project. Next slide, please. So there's three accounts that comprise about 75% of the Public Works Trust Fund. To no surprise, it's the same three that that we've been tracking over the last several years. First and foremost is B permits. B permits comprise about $34.6 million. This number, or the B permits, have actually been increasing over the last 6 years, but for the first time in 6 years, in 7 years, we have a decrease in B permits, and this is simply because we've been focusing on transferring that monies out. So any B permits that have been completed or any work plans that have been reviewed by the Bureau of Engineering, we're making sure that we're charging those service hours into the work orders and then transferring those costs over to the general fund. So again, this goes to that $12 million that we transferred last year, and this year we're on schedule for that $14 million. So we did notice a $2 million decrease in the B permit balance, which is a good thing. The second account is the General Improvement Guarantee account. So this increased about $16 million. This is pretty much the number one account that comprises most of your increase in the Public Works Trust Fund. The General Improvement Guarantee account is basically for deposits that are, let me look at my notes, sorry. They're for general improvement projects related to city planning cases, street vacations, issuance of building permits, excavation, lateral supports, and import-exports hauling routes. This represents a bond cash deposit that depositors will provide. For example, we have a $10 million deposit that we have on hold right now that we're planning to exonerate, and that is part of this large balance account. Although this balance has increased, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just basically means that developers are putting in their deposits, guaranteeing the work so that if they do default under the work, that this would be our guarantee for us so that we can move forward with that project. Our goal is that the developers will actually implement the project, and then once the projects are implemented, then this cash deposit bond would go back to the developers. So this account, we are anticipating as the economy gets better and is better, that this balance will keep rising. But at the same token, we are asking our Bureau of Engineering, also with our Bureau of Contract Administration, to make sure that we're inspecting and completing these projects so that we can move these deposits out of the Public Trust Fund back to the developer's bank account. And last but not least is our special projects account, which has experienced a $1 million increase over last year. Next slide, please. So this just illustrates the top 5 accounts with the highest growth value. Again, the general improvement guarantee about $16 million. All other accounts experience less than $1 million delta, so that's actually a good thing for us. In terms of interest earnings and loans outstanding, we did earn about $1 million in interest. This is a great opportunity for us to not only leverage the monies that we have, but earn some interest back. The interest rate right now, it's floating about 1.1 to 1.2 per annum. This has resulted in about $1 million in interest. One thing that I'd like to caveat this is that as we approve, or as your board approves loans, the balance on our accounts goes down, meaning that it's being transferred out. Last year, we presented a report that's still pending under counsel in the CAO's office, asking us to assess interest to those depositors or borrowers that earn interest and that interest doesn't go back to the general fund. This has resulted in a loss of revenues for us, or potential loss of interest, earn about $200,000 to $300,000 a year. So as soon as City Council adopts that recommendation, we will be charging that. In fact, we've already started implementing that procedure. My understanding is that the report that was approved by your board last January 2017, that is still in the CAO's office, still pending their review. So we're working with the CAO's office to get that report out of their queue, in addition to having this report going to their queue as well.
Is there an issue, is it just because their queue is long, or do they have there been any concerns expressed by them to you regarding the policy?
No major concerns that I'm aware of. I'm not quite clear on why it's taking them 9 months to review the last year's report. However, one discussion that I did have with the CAO's office was the loan policy, and that is having that loan ceiling at 25%, no more than 30%. Their request was, can we do a little bit more, or should we do a little less? And so I was hoping that the CAO's office...
Do they want us to raise the ceiling?
They have not commented in terms of what that ceiling amount could be, whether we keep it the same or lower or increase. I was hoping that the CAO's office report would actually talk about that and next steps. However, my understanding is that it may not necessarily address that question. But to your question, Commissioner James, I'm not clear on why it's taking the CAO's office 9 months to move that report forward. Next slide, please. The total loans outstanding, we have 9 totaling about $20 million. The top 3 debtors are the CAO's office, about $13.4 million. This is down from about $17.2 million that I reported last year. So it's a great improvement from last year. In addition to that, the Recreation and Parks balance went up from $3 million to $4.5, and that's because of the Runyon Canyon Park project. Our understanding is that that project is near ready, and we should be receiving that $1.5 million within the next 3 to 6 months, and we will keep you updated as soon as we get that money back.
We're unlikely to see the CAO balance, though, have another reduction
So of that
for another decade, right?
2021 is what we're anticipating. 2021,
Oh,
2022.
that's not as far away. It's a bridge program, isn't it?
Seismic bridge program.
Yeah,
correct.
okay.
Next slide,
2021,
please.
okay. Not as far as I thought.
But it is a significant amount.
Yeah.
In terms of next steps and challenges, we are encouraging the CAO's office to prepare the report back to the mayor for fiscal year 15-16 and eventually get that adopted through City Council. This report, upon your action, would be forwarded also to the mayor's office, subject to City Council approval to receive and file this report. I would assume that the mayor's office will send this report also to the CAO's office, and hopefully this report will be added to the prior year's report, and maybe perhaps a merged report, or maybe 2 reports will come out of the CAO's office for consideration to the City Council. We do want to complete the Nexus study that is anticipated by the end of this calendar year, and then presenting some sort of policy consideration to your board in March of 2018. We are going to continue our governance and close oversight of the Public Works Trust Fund. The position upgrade my apologies, it should say upgrade. We are requesting an upgrade of one position from a senior accountant 1 to a senior accountant 2. But this was requested last year, and it still has not been approved by the CAO's office. So we're hoping that with your support, also with the mayor's support, that we can get this position upgraded. It's a $5,000 to $6,000 difference, but more importantly for me, it's about retention, training, and keeping our employees happy in terms of moving forward with our progress that we've made so far. We have lost this position we've lost a person in this position twice in the last 3 years, and every time we do lose someone, it's about a 3 to 6 month delay. So if this person were to promote to the 2 level, that would actually delay our progress by about 3 to 6 months. I'm not saying that's the only reason why the position should be upgraded. The position should be upgraded because of the increased responsibilities that has been added to this position and close oversight and working with the executive officer to make sure that we're keeping or adhering to the laws and regulations that we are required to for the Public Works Trust Fund.
It's a pretty circular challenge that you've had. I mean, that challenge has been, it keeps circling back, right?
And we've proposed to the CAO's office that we will actually have additional revenues to offset that increase potential. So it's a small delta, about $5,000 to $6,000. Not clear on why it's taking more than a year to get this done, but we are requesting in the next budget cycle to upgrade this. So this will be almost 2 years trying to get this done.
Okay.
We will continue to assess and collect our interests, and then also our focus for fiscal year 18 and 19, besides the B permits, we do want to start looking into our U permits, excavation, land and vacation work orders, and also tree accounts. So these 5 accounts have a commingled or a combined balance of about $21 million, and this is where we're going to start peeling the onion, if you will, in next year's efforts in fiscal year 18-19. So with that said, the recommendation is to receive and file and move this report to the mayor and CAO's office, City Council for approval.
Okay. Excellent job and organization of the presentation as usual, Dr. Campos. We appreciate that. Very helpful. We'll start with Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President
And to our Office of Accounting team that's still here. There we are.
Here, I second that.
Thank you both for being here. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. I second that. Thanks and appreciation, Dr. Campos, and our staff, our wonderful staff from the Office of Accounting, and everybody involved in, getting us to a new norm. I had a question regarding the banking. Who do we bank? Is this part of the general fund account, Dr. Campos, or who do we, our deposits, where are we deposited?
Our financial institution is Wells Fargo Bank.
Okay.
So this is where the monies are deposited. However, this is not general fund money. This is all specific to a specific project in the Public Works Trust Fund.
Correct.
So it's not commingled with general fund. When we do reconcile the monies, i.e. if there's staff time being charged to a specific project, then that does become eligible to be transferred to either a general fund or a special fund, and that's what we mean by transferring out.
Understood. Let me ask this question in regards to the city attorney's movement regarding banking practices and the question of our deposit bank right now. Are there any issues with our deposits being at Wells Fargo in light of what's going on with our entire city? Do we know?
I'm looking at our assistant director, and no, we're both not aware of any issues unless our city attorney knows something that you'd like to share.
Not at
So that it's okay from our city attorney's perspective that we are deposited in Wells Fargo in this account.
I'm not aware of a restriction on that. I'd be happy to take a look into
Please,
that.
Ted, could you do that, please?
I would just mention for the record that during the reporting regarding the Wells Fargo case, it was reported that the city uses Wells Fargo for, it's not just our account. There are a lot of accounts. So I think that this review, I don't want to duplicate anything that's being done, but I think, Ted, your office is working with maybe the city council on another inquiry regarding other funds. We have we utilize a number of banks. What I don't know is our procurement process for doing that. But my understanding is that Ted, you could just piggyback on other inquiries that have been made.
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah,
It'll be very
great.
easy for me to do that.
Okay.
The thing that I am aware of, Commissioner Jacinto, is that the Office of Finance is looking at doing a request for proposal for banking services. So perhaps that banking services RFP could include financial institution, selection of a financial institution, primary one, of course, and then there are others that we do work with, but primarily the RFP should be focused on that financial institution. Not sure if that would address the question or the inquiry that you have, but I am aware that they are seeking banking services.
Right. I raise that issue just so that we can be complementary and work in alignment with our city attorney's office. So not to duplicate or to create another process. Thank you.
No, completely. Yeah, and I think that was after the case occurred, I think that there was just, again, it wasn't our body, it was there was some discussion in another body, and the questions came up regarding RFPs for banking services and things like that. So, because I think there was a report on my recollection was the report on, the city has various, I know we use City National Bank for other things, and there was, I don't think there was a story specifically done on all of the banks that we use, but there was a discussion of the fact that, interestingly enough, the city is prosecuting Wells Fargo and using their services. But, you know, how many banks are there in the market? And I don't know when the last procurement process was for banking services, but do you know what the timing on the RFP for the next one?
If I have to, this would be a wild guess. The last time we moved financial institutions was probably about 5 to 7 years ago.
Okay.
The RFP.
So it's about time for another cycle, it sounds
An RFP
like.
takes typically anywhere from, on the fast track, about 120 days, on the slow track, 275 days. So about 6 months on average.
Yeah. Okay. We don't make that decision, do we?
No, this would be the Office of Finance. It would be the lead agency or lead
Yeah.
department, and then City Council ultimately will adopt
Yeah, the
that.
council makes that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Good question. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, I was going to, I think that was a great question that Commissioner Jacinto asked, and as I think I hear you remarking, it is the Office of Finance who makes the decision, and there is no role for the board in terms of who we bank with, and or our goal of, if we seek to now or in the future diversify our portfolio with multiple lending institutions from which we can do business, that is the decision that the finance office is making with the council, but not any role responsibility for the Board of Public Works. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, in terms of the interest rate, is there a formula for the interest rates for those who do borrow from us and they pay back with interest, is I think what I've heard you say.
Yes.
Is there a formula?
Yes, so the interest that we are starting to assess those borrowers that earn their own interest, and that interest does not ultimately make it back to the general fund, we will charge the same interest that we earned from our accounts that the Office of Finance has set up. So to answer your question, yes, there is a formula, and that formula is basically a proportion amount of the city's investment pool as a whole. We do get a certain percentage of that amount, and that ends up being about 1.1% per annum.
And in terms of the decision with regard to the revenues that are acquired from the interest on some of the accounts, what do we do with those revenues? Say for example, we get $1 million revenue annually on certain accounts. How do we decide what we do with that $1 million, and where do we reinvest it, if you will?
Excellent question. So when the Public Works Trust Fund was established, the City Council has to make that decision, and that is, does the trust fund or the special fund that they're creating, are they allowed to keep that interest and use it to be reinvested back for that specific purpose? Or two, does that interest go back to the general fund? In the Public Works Trust Fund scenario, we have to transfer that money over to the general fund. So as soon as that money is earned, it's transferred to the city's general fund pool, and then from there, the CAO's office, along with the mayor's office and council, decide what to do with that money.
I see.
So we do not keep any of that money.
So that interest money goes immediately over to the general fund.
To the general fund.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Rivas.
Thank you for this presentation, and to your team and accounting. I had two questions, but you just answered one about the interest that Commissioner Davis just asked. But second question was related to the 5-year trend. You know, every year in the last 5 years, our balance has gone up. Do you anticipate that continuing to go up?
So long as the economy is doing the way it is, I would anticipate that it's going to be an upward trend. Even though that we may become very aggressive or more aggressive in reconciling and transferring monies out, it's really going to take a multiple effort to actually bring that balance down. One, there would have to be less deposits being collected for potential projects. Two, we would have to accelerate our transferring out rate for our B permits, our U permits, our land excavation rates. And then three, any deposits that are sitting in our Public Works Trust Fund that are actually due back to the depositors, we would actually have to go back out and inspect those projects so that we can get that money back out. For example, our trees. So we have about $2 million in trees in our Public Works Trust Fund, and this is something that we'll be looking at for fiscal year 18-19. If those trees have matured and they've passed the 5-year mark, and it's a developer deposit, then we have to transfer that money or send that deposit back to the developer. If a tree did not make it over that 5-year period, we can replace those trees, and then we can charge the developer from that deposit. So it's not a one-size-fits-all, and it's not a one-step process. It's really multifaceted, but I would anticipate that it will continue to increase over the next couple of years, and then eventually plateau and then come back down.
So some of this depends on our own staff or our own inspectors and how fast that
Internal
process.
efforts and the economy is pretty much that balance that we're going to have to see in terms of trade-offs.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Rivas, any other questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 8. Is there I'm sorry, we're on agenda item number 7. Is there a second? By Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 7. Any issues sending number 7 forthwith? We will send number 7 forthwith. And Dr. Campos, it was James on the motion and Jacinto on the second. So number 7 is sent forthwith. That takes us to agenda item number 11. Agenda item number 11, landfill closures update, Bureau of Sanitation. Dr. Williams, would you prefer to go before or after the presentation? After? Okay. Then we will start with Miguel Lozano.
Good morning, Commissioner President James, Commissioner Rivas, Commissioner Penning, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Jacinto, Bureau's representatives, City Attorney, and the Executive Officer. My name is Miguel Cermeño with the Bureau of Sanitation. I'm here to give you the oral presentation on landfill closure. The city maintains 5 closed landfills, which are Lopez Canyon, Toyin Canyon, Bishop Canyon, Gaffey Street, Sheldon, Alnita landfills. All landfills are currently in post-closure maintenance, and also they're being used for beneficial reuse in terms there's activity going on where the communities can use those landfills that are close. The first landfill that I want to give you a summary on that is Lopez Canyon. It's in Council District 5 and is located in 11950 Lopez Canyon Road in Lakeview Terrace. It was in operation between 1970 through 1996. It had a service life of 26 years, and it's currently in post-closure maintenance currently. Lopez Canyon continues to be an environmental and a community beneficial facility. Currently, we have a landfill gas collection, which the gas is being used for green energy, and we have an energy facility on site. Currently, the gas, it's converted into energy. We generate about 2 million kilowatt hour of green power each month, which is equivalent to produce energy to about 2,300 homes per month. The power is sold to Water and Power. Also, Lopez Canyon, we have the Lopez Canyon Environmental Center, which process the yard trimmings collected from the curbside, and also brush deliveries by private holders. And it's produced. We produce mulch and compost, which is offered for free to residents and schools. Another beneficial use at Lopez is the Lopez Canyon Environmental Education Center, where residents can come and learn about backyard composting, smart gardening, and stormwater harvesting. In partnership with Pacoma Beautiful, we offer classes on the second Saturday and fourth Saturdays of every month on urban gardening and backyard composting. Also, we have a helicopter pad, LA San, and partner with Los Angeles Fire Department, and they built a helipad next to our Lopez Canyon 1 million gallon tank for use by the fire department for training and for fire fighting. Also, early this year, we had the tuna fire that was going on. The fire department used helipad and also to grab some water and put out the fire. Also, we are working and we're having conversations on converting the landfill into a future park, and that's years away from now. However, we're working on developing some buffer areas within the landfill property into community use facilities that encompass environmental and recreational use. We have been meeting with the community to discuss the plan and to come up with an implementation schedule. We're working closely with the community in Council District 7 on the development of a trailhead and equestrian staging area. We're currently completing the CEQA and mitigated negative declaration on the process. We held 3 public meetings and received comments. Comments will be addressed in the final document and submitted to your board, the mayor and council office for final certification by early 2018. Construction will proceed thereafter. Also, we're engaged with the community. We reach out to the community to keep them aware of what's going on in Lopez. We meet with them twice a year to let them know of the activities. We reached out to the community by phone calls and emails. And in 2007, Lopez Canyon received an award from the Solid Waste Association of North America, known as SWANA, for the landfill redeveloping category. The next landfill that we maintain is Toyon Canyon. It's in Council District 5, and it's in Griffith Park. It operated between 1957 through 1985 for a life service of 28 years. Currently, we have established a controlled horse trail access through the landfill and a small resting and picnic areas at the landfill to the equestrian community. Post-closure maintenance is in progress and will continue for several years. Due to new regulations, the existing gas-to-energy plants was shut down in January 2017. However, we're working with a contractor, another company, for them to install microturbines to use that landfill gas to produce energy from there. Also, the third landfill that we maintain is Sheldon Arleta landfill. It's in Council District 6, and it's on Sam Valley. It operated between 1962 through 1974 for 12 years. We have a large recreation complex, which is known as Cesar Chavez Recreation Complex, which is being built. It's a 40-acre site. Out of the 40-acre sites, we have developed 20 of them, which includes basketball fields, soccer fields, playgrounds, and a passive recreation areas. There's additional 20 acres that need to be developed. Once funding becomes available, we'll continue to help develop that area. In addition to that, we have Gaffey landfill, which is in Council District 15 in San Pedro. It operated between 1955 through 1963 and about 8 years of operations. Also, it's a 17 acres landfill, and it's being converted to soccer fields as in 2002. Currently, it's being used by the American Youth Soccer Organization. We completed rebuilding also and landscaping the slopes to reflect the surroundings to make sure we improve that area. Lastly is the Bishop Landfill, which is in Council District 1. It's on Academy Road. It operated between 1966 through 1969 for 3 years of operation. It was converted to a beautiful park in 2000. We have baseball fields, playing ground equipment, barbecue areas throughout the park. However, due to settlement, the bedrooms and concession building next to the baseball fields were demolished. We are in the process of completing the rough grading work. We're on schedule to meet the deadline at the end of this month, and we're working closely with Rex and Parks and Bureau of Engineering to make sure we are on schedule to complete the construction, and so Little League a spring session can be operational and ready to go. That completes my presentations. Any questions?
Yes, thank you. We have a couple of questions, but before we get to our questions from Commissioner Repenning and Commissioner Rivas, Dr. Williams has a speaker card in, so go ahead, sir.
Dr. Tom Williams, Sierra Club and Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community. Also participant in Safe Porter Ranch, which then got me into the Sunshine landfill.
You're very busy, Dr. Williams.
And we're getting a lot of comments through the neighborhood councils regarding the Eagle Rock and the Glendale repowering and landfill closure cases. A little bit of background, I helped on the Palo Verde landfill, Sepulveda Canyon. Have you ever thought of putting a golf course on one of these things? It worked very well in Sepulveda Canyon. That was a long time ago. One of the issues, though, with the Sunshine Canyon landfill is odor. And one of the things that I've been trying to get people to consider is it because of the higher organic percentages now in the landfill materials because we're doing such a good job on recycling? Because in the 70s, there was a lot of other stuff along with the organics. And nobody seems to have the data regarding the organics, inorganics, that is, what dilutes the organics and might say allows them to decompose at a slower rate and not cause the odor problems in the city of Los Angeles from the Sunshine landfill. We seem to be doing a good job on ours. Maybe we can get better land uses, and I hate to see a landfill that doesn't have anything more beneficial on it than just an open pad. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. We'll start with Commissioner Repenning.
Sure. Thank you for the report, Miguel. I just wanted to, you talked about Bishop Canyon and the work that we're doing up there to regrade for the Northeast Little League, and I just wanted to express, I went and visited the site, and I know sanitation's supposed to be out of there soon. It sounds like it's still running on time, you said, as far as our work there, because we're regrading it, and then Rec and Parks is going to come in and actually build the field with their contractors.
That's correct, Commissioner Penning. I was there yesterday myself. I'm leading that effort. I have my own team of engineers is make sure that the grading is done as we promised, November 30th. We are in schedule to meet that deadline. Water and Power, Regs and Parks have also requested us if we can help them put the top layer of the soil. We agree with them. We have requested for them that they should purchase the topsoil because we were thinking of using soil out of Lopez. However, that doesn't meet standards. So our heavy equipment will remain on site to help them do the compaction on the top layer. Yes, so we're on schedule for November 30th.
Okay, yes. Well, thank you so much for your work on that and for helping Rec and Parks. I know it's important to the mayor to get the Little League back on that field in April when their season begins. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Repenning. Commissioner Rivas.
Thank you, Miguel, for this update. My questions were related to Lopez Canyon in the valley. I'll be visiting on Monday, actually, for the cool pavement.
paving,
And
yes.
I know that's something your sanitation is piloting, starting there, right? Is that the first?
That is
first-
correct,
That's your first
Commissioner.
pilot, right? So I'm very excited that innovations that were started in another bureau and street services are now going to be tested out and piloted by sanitation in your facilities. And I know that your environmental education workshops are very popular there. I know people that attend, and I've seen the schedule recently. So I'm excited to visit that environmental education center. You mentioned a lot of the outreach that you do to that community for the future plans that you have. Is there anything that you do to give that information or provide updates to the workshop attendees? Since these workshops, there's people from the community going, on Saturdays to learn different skills. Is there an opportunity to also provide updates via those workshops? Do you know?
There is opportunities to provide that, and that's something we'll go ahead and get them involved when we have those activities on the weekends, and just let them know what's going on in Lopez. When we have these Saturdays workshops, we let them know what we do at Lopez, and what we do, that our daily operations, the reasons we're providing this service to the community, to engage them and make them aware of what is going on at Lopez. But I will take your recommendation, and we'll put some kind of a brochure to handouts and provide it to the attendees on the weekends.
Yeah, because I think they're already there, and they're probably community members. And I know that, is it Pacoima Beautiful that's leading these workshops? So I just want to make sure that we are taking advantage of this opportunity. If people are there, it's a great way to update them on
We're working very
what the
close with
plans are, if there are any updates, or if you need any comments. Is there a way to collect that from the workshop attendees?
We're working very close with Pacoima Beautiful, and in terms of help us doing the outreach to end the training on the weekends, but also they will be providing training to us on how to do the workshops, and through that effort we'll let Pacoima Beautiful to provide handouts to the attendings to make sure they make them aware what's going on in at Lopez.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to visiting on Monday. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Rivas, thank you for attending that as well. I saw the press notification of that. Anything further? The oral report will be received. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a nice Thanksgiving. We have cleared the desk other than our adjourning motion, correct, Dr. Campos?
That is correct.
Okay, Commissioner Davis.
To President James and my fellow colleagues on the Board of Public Works and all of the leaders here in our department, I am adjourning this meeting in memory of a longtime Los Angeles leader, Council Member David Cunningham, who served in the 10th District and succeeded Mayor Tom Bradley in that capacity, and was a chosen successor to the 10th Council District. Council Member David Cunningham was a graduate of the University of California at Riverside. He grew up as what he called himself as a PK, in other words, a preacher's kid. He served our country in the Air Force, and also during his tenure, he served in 1973 in the 10th Council District and served up to 1977. But he also was a administrator in the Cranston Securities company, as well as he was the president of public finance there at that investment firm. And he continued to be extremely active in civic duty, and Mayor Eric Garcetti had appointed him to the Civic Center Commission a few years back. Councilman David Cunningham had 6 children, 3 girls and 3 boys, one of whom is Superior Court Judge David Cunningham III. And he died last Wednesday at Kaiser Hospital at the age of 82. He was a person who was obviously civic-minded, embraced helping make sure that businesses were able to thrive in our city, and he will sorely be missed. Thank you.
We are so adjourned.